Good afternoon, OpenSpokes. It's been a while since I've talked to you, and I have missed you deeply. This week and next week, we have been given the opportunity to think through those tough topics that are not in the curriculum. And I wanted to tell a story of how I did that with one 8th grade student who was definitely a square peg in a round hole and felt like that all of the time. He was pretty popular, but really did not have a sense of his true potential, his ability to be creative and to actually put that into something constructive. And he asked me, and his parents asked me, to help him in his academics. And so I had an opportunity to tutor him over the course of a couple of summers after 7th grade and then into 8th grade as well. And it was one of my favorite experiences, probably, of my teaching career. And it wasn't because we worked on some of his writing, and it wasn't because he started a blog and started writing about the things that were going on in his life. But it was because of one particular moment where I realized that he needed to have the perks of being a wallflower in his possession, and he needed to read it, and he needed to talk with me about it. And I wrote him a letter, and I drove him to the bookstore, which I know I wasn't supposed to do, in my own car after school hours to and from the school. But I drove him to the bookstore, and I bought him the book, and I handed him the letter, and I said, let's talk about this afterwards. And if you haven't read the book, you absolutely should. It's fantastic. It's by Stephen Chbosky, and there was a movie that came out recently that was based on the book, and it was actually directed by the writer, so it's actually a pretty good portrayal of it. But through the conversation around this book, he was able to open up to some abuse, able to open up to some feelings, some same-sex attraction feelings, and some of the things that he was really holding on to that weren't allowing him to grow. And it was in that moment that I knew that I had done something for him that he could not do for himself. And I think that that is the lens that I see through these difficult or controversial topics, is can we do something for these students that they couldn't do for themselves, that their families couldn't do for them, that any curriculum that we might have might not be able to do for them? Can we do something for them that they can't do for themselves? And so I guess that's the way that I would frame this conversation, is whether or not something is in the curriculum, if we can create a situation where the child is better off because of having spoken out, or because of having had a conversation, or because of having driven them to the bookstore and purchasing the book for them, that might change their life, that might allow for a conversation that lets them open up. If we can do that, then I feel like we have done something greater than simply teach. So I hope that you have other stories like this, and there are other things that you are thinking about when you are trying to create something that could not have existed otherwise. Hope to see you all very soon, as I miss this a lot. Thanks a lot, OpenSpokes.